Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Tilly and today I'm going to talk you through all of the book releases I'm excited for between the months of July and September 2024. I absolutely love researching new book releases as part of filming this video. It definitely makes me really excited about all the fantastic books that are coming out soon, and I absolutely cannot wait to share those with you. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. The dates I'm going to share with you are dates I've taken off Goodreads and are correct at time of filming. This won't be absolutely every single book that's going to come out between July and September this year. I think it would be absolutely impossible to include every single book, but these are the books that I am the most excited for. So starting with July, on the 2nd we have The Undermining of Twyla and Frank by Megan Branner. This is the second book slash spin-off from The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, which I read, I think it was last year, which I really enjoyed, and it was such a pleasant surprise, so I'm really excited to read the second book. The small town of Eternity is surprised when middle-aged widow Twyla Banacre partners with her best friend and neighbour Frank Ellis to join the Tenarian Marshals. Despite initial skepticism from her grown children, Twyla finds fulfillment in her law enforcement career in the dangerous land of Tenera, the former prison of the old gods. When a decrease in danger leads to a lack of excitement, Twyla and Frank are thrilled to investigate the discovery of a fellow marshal's body covered in liquid glitter, which coincides with Frank's inadvertently becoming the foster dad to a baby dragon. Oh, that sounds so cute! As they delve into a complex and perilous plot, their friendship faces challenges, and Twyla begins to realise that her true soulmate might be closer than she thought. Oh, that does sound really good. I'm so excited to give that a read. Also on the 2nd, we have Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Bayron. So Kaylin Bayron is the same author that wrote Cinderella is Dead, this Poison Heart series, as well as You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight. Out of that, I've only read You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight. However, I absolutely love that book. It was the perfect horror novella that I read last spooky season. Sleep Like Death is a young adult Snow White retelling with LGBT representation, which I think sounds really interesting. Also, I probably should have said, if I keep looking down, I've got lots of notes on my phone, which I'll need to refer to probably throughout this whole video, so apologies if I keep looking down. Eve is determined to defeat the Knight, an ancient monster who grants wishes at a terrible cost. Having witnessed the curse firsthand on her mother, Eve trains relentlessly to confront him, armed with her unique abilities to communicate with animals and summon weapons from nature. As the Knight's deals become increasingly corrupt, Eve believes she's prepared to face him. However, when Queen Regina begins exhibiting strange behaviour, Eve realises that her powers may not be enough to save her family and kingdom. As she navigates the complexities of her mission, Eve must confront her own fears and doubts, while seeking to unravel the mystery behind the Queen's sudden transformation. Oh, I do think it sounds really interesting, and I'm really intrigued to see how much it pulls from the original Snow White story and how much it differs. So yeah, really excited to give that a read. Also on the 2nd, we have The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. So this is the first book in a new adult fantasy series. KX Song also wrote a book called An Echo in the City, which I do own. I actually picked up the Fairy Loot edition. I've not read it yet, but I am definitely intrigued to. There is a rumour that The Night Ends with Fire is going to be featured in a book box, so I'm keeping my eyes peeled in case it does. Maylin's life is upended by her father's refusal to answer the imperial draft and his plan to sell her for her dowry. Determined to take control of her fate, Maylin disguises herself as a boy and enlists in the army in her father's place. Through hard work, she earns recognition and forms bonds with her comrades, including Sky, a prince-turned-training partner. However, as war threatens the Three Kingdoms, Maylin begins to have visions of a sea dragon spirit, offering power and freedom at a deadly cost. Caught between loyalty to Sky, the sea dragon's spirit's allure, and an enemy prince, Maylin must navigate treacherous waters to determine the future of the kingdom and her heart. Ooh, it's actually giving me Mulan vibes. There have been a few Asian inspired fantasies where a woman will disguise herself as a boy in order to fight. Like I said, it's definitely giving me those Mulan vibes. So it'll be interesting to see what KX Song does with this. Hopefully it'll be quite different from the other books out there. Then on the 4th of July, we have Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This is the second book in the Powerless series. Again, a series that I've not not quite got to just yet, despite hearing amazing things and really wanting to get to it quite soon. So if you're not aware, Powerless is a YA fantasy romance series, and the synopsis for the first book: in the kingdom of Ilya, only the extraordinary are valued, the elites gifted with powers by the plague. Those without abilities, the ordinaries, are banished. Payton Grey, an ordinary, survives by posing as a psychic. When she saves the prince, she's thrust into the purging trials, a deadly competition for elites. Payton must hide her lack of powers to survive both the trials and her growing feelings for the prince, risking discovery and death. I absolutely love any book that's got some sort of trial element, so this definitely sounds up my street. I also think it'll be really interesting to see how she hides the fact that she doesn't have any powers. So yeah, definitely really intrigued to get to the series. Also on the 4th, we have Breaking the Dark by Lisa Jewell. This is actually the first book in a new series called Marvel Crime, which I think sounds really interesting. So this is a series of adult thriller novels written by popular thriller authors like Lisa Jewell that are centred around the Marvel universe. As you might know about me, I'm a massive Marvel fan, so I'm so excited for this series. This first book focuses on Jessica Jones. I absolutely loved the Jessica Jones TV show. It's a show I will highly recommend if you haven't watched it and you love Marvel. It is incredibly well written. David Tennant does an absolutely fantastic job, as you can imagine. I don't think there's anything that man has touched that isn't absolutely fantastic. I haven't read anything from Lisa Jewell yet, but I've heard fantastic things about her writing, so I'm really excited to give that a go. The retired superhero turned private investigator Jessica Jones leads a solitary existence in Hell's Kitchen, haunted by past trauma. When a desperate mother, Amber Randall, seeks Jessica's help, claiming her teenage twins have been replaced by perfect doppelgangers, Jessica is initially reluctant. However, intrigued by Amber's story, Jessica delves into the mystery, travelling to a secluded village in the British countryside. There she encounters Belle, a peculiar teenager living with a mysterious guardian, amidst a community shrouded in dark secrets. As Jessica investigates, she confronts her own imperfections and struggles to unravel the truth behind the unsettling events, knowing that perfection often conceals a dangerous darkness. Ooh, that does sound really good and really intriguing. I also can't see any Kilgrave within that. So if you're not aware, Kilgrave is normally the villain within Jessica Jones, and I can't see him in that synopsis unless there's a big plot twist and he appears from somewhere. So I'm really excited and intrigued about the different direction that this one is going. Then on the 9th, we have Beneath These Cursed Stars by Lexi Ryan. So this is the same author that wrote These Hollow Vows. I'm not quite sure whether this book is set within the same world or is a continuation from this series. On Goodreads it didn't really give me any indication, so apologies, I'm not quite aware. I have been meaning to get to These Hollow Vows. I do own it, it's behind me somewhere, especially as it's been likened to ACOTAR, so yes, I definitely need to get to that soon. Then also on the 9th we have The Darkness Within Us by Trisha Levenseller. This is the second book in the Shadows Between Us series. I've not read the first book yet, but The Darkness Between Us is definitely on my radar as it's rumoured to be a book box pick, which is a little bit strange as it is a sequel, so we'll see what happens there. So in terms of the synopsis for the first book, Alessandra is determined to seize power and recognition. Her plan is simple: seduce the enigmatic Shadow King, marry him, and then eliminate him to claim his kingdom. Yet as she delves deeper into her scheme, she discovers the extent of the Shadow King's mysterious abilities. Despite the danger posed by other assassins, Alessandra finds herself unexpectedly drawn to the king. Torn between her ambitions and her growing feelings, in a world where shadows hold secrets and power, Alessandra must navigate treacherous waters to achieve her goals and secure her place as queen beside the Shadow King. That does sound quite cool actually. I think I might have to go back and read the first book. Then again on the 9th we have The Game Changer by Lana Ferguson. This is the same author that wrote the Fake Make book, which is a book that I own but I haven't read yet. This one sounds really cute. It's a mixture of sports romance and baking, which I think sounds very appealing. Ian Chase finds himself in the midst of a PR crisis after a public breakup threatens both his career and his team's image. Seeking a solution, he turns to Delilah, his best friend's younger sister, who suggests a collaboration to boost her struggling baking show's rating by appealing to hockey fans. As they work together, Delilah and Ian must navigate their long-standing attraction and the blurred lines between reality and performance as they pretend to be in a relationship for publicity. With their careers and hearts on the line, they must decide if their PR stunt will lead to success or disaster. Oh, it's also definitely giving me fake dating, best friend's younger sister, off limits vibes. I am so here for it and very excited for this one. Then on the 16th we have Business Casual by B.K. Borison. This is the fourth and final book within the Love Light Farms series. If you're not aware, Love Light Farms is a series of companion novels which are set with each book centred around a different season. I, again, haven't read this series yet, but I've heard nothing but good things and will hopefully get to it soon. Nova Porter, a tattoo artist focused on her business, finds herself unexpectedly drawn to the poised and determined investment banker, Charlie Milford. Despite their differences, Nova can't ignore their undeniable chemistry. Determined to quell their attraction, Nova proposes a one-night stand with no strings attached. However, their passionate encounter only deepens their connection, complicating their intentions to move on. As they navigate their feelings, Charlie sees Nova as a valuable investment worth pursuing, while Nova grapples with her reluctance to let him in. With Charlie's presence in town and Nova's new business venture on the horizon, they must decide if one night together is enough to satisfy their desires, or if they're willing to take a chance on something more meaningful. I do think it sounds quite interesting, and it's definitely a series that I've been meaning to get to. Then on the 16th we have I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. So if you're not aware, Stephen Graham Jones is the same author that wrote the My Heart is a Chainsaw series, which I haven't read yet, but as I'm getting more into my horror, I thought I would look out for any horror releases. In the small town of La Mesa, Texas, 17-year-old Tolly Driver grapples with the weight of his circumstances. As a good kid with untapped potential, Tolly finds himself on the brink of a curse that compels him to seek revenge through murder. I do think this sounds quite interesting, looking through the lens of a potential murderer or a potential serial killer. I think it could be a really interesting read. Then on the 16th we have The Blackbird Oracle by Deborah Harkness. So this is book 5 in the All Souls trilogy, the first book being A Discovery of Witches. I was very kindly gifted books 1 to 4 for Christmas, which was really lovely, and I'm so desperate to get to them, but I kind of want to wait for spooky season. So in terms of the synopsis for the first book, Diana Bishop, a young scholar at Oxford's library, accidentally summons a bewitched manuscript during her research. Despite coming from a lineage of witches, Diana has distanced herself from magic. She quickly returns the manuscript to the library stacks, hoping to avoid entanglement with sorcery. However, her discovery triggers a series of events that attract attention from demons, witches and vampires, all vying for the ancient treasure she has unearthed. As Diana becomes embroiled in a world of supernatural beings, she realises that she alone possesses the ability to break the spell surrounding the coveted manuscript. Like I said, I'm really excited to get to the series, and I've heard nothing but good things. So yeah, really excited to give this one a read when I get to it. Also on the 16th we have The Seventh Veil of Salome by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So Silvia Moreno Garcia is the same author that wrote Mexican Gothic, Silver Nitrates. I'm yet to read any of those books yet, but I desperately want to get to Silver Nitrate, and I intend to get to it very soon. Set in 1950s Golden Age Hollywood, the coveted role of Salome in a big budget movie becomes the object of desire for every actress. When the director unexpectedly casts unknown Mexican ingenue Vera Larios, she becomes the talk of the town, sparking envy in struggling actress Nancy Hartley. As Vera and Nancy vie for success in a city filled with gossip and scandal, their rivalry heats up. However, the story also delves into the life of the Princess Salome herself, torn between duty and desire for the prophet, who predicts her stepfather's downfall. As the tale unfolds, filled with passion and tragedy, the lives of these three women intertwine in a sexy Technicolor saga of ambition and betrayal. Oh, I do think that sounds really interesting. I'm not normally one for historical fiction, but I do think that does sound quite interesting. Then again on the 16th we have The Au Pair Affair by Tessa Bailey. This is the second book in the Big Shots companion series. So I read the first book, which is Fangirl Down, at the start of the year. I didn't love it, but I'm really hoping that I like this one more. And as it's a companion series, it will follow a different couple and it will probably have different tropes. So I'm gonna give it a go and hopefully I get on better. Tallulah, a spirited, aspiring marine biologist facing financial struggles, seizes the opportunity to become the live-in nanny for Burgess, a rugged hockey veteran and a single father. Living in an upscale neighbourhood, Tallulah forms a bond with Burgess's introverted tween daughter, Lisa. Despite Burgess's reluctance to re-enter the dating scene, Tallulah is determined to help him rediscover romance. As their relationship deepens, they grapple with conflicting desires and family obligations. When Tallulah decides to step back to preserve boundaries, Burgess realises his true feelings and fights to win her back, proving he's ready for a fresh start. Then on the 23rd, we have Queen Bee, the story of Anne Boleyn, Witch Queen by Juno Dawson. This is a prequel to Juno Dawson's series, Her Majesty's Royal Coven. I own the first two books within that series, but I've not read it yet. Again, really want to get to them and have been kind of saving them for spooky season. Lady Grace Fairfax, a witch, is determined to uncover the truth behind the betrayal of Anne Boleyn and her coven. With Anne's death comes the loss of Grace's lover and a dangerous secret that could cost her life if revealed. As she hunts for the traitor, Grace faces not only the threat of King Henry's witchfinders, but also the organised efforts of his advisor, Sir Ambrose Fulk, a zealous man intent on eradicating witchcraft. With witchkind facing extinction, Grace must not only seek revenge, but also endure her survival by undergoing a transformation that will require her to be reborn. I do think it sounds really interesting. I'm not really too sure which order to read them all in. I think I will probably read them in order of release, so I will get to this one at some point, but yes, very exciting. Then on the 30th of July, we've got The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the first book in a brand new series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is a spin-off from her popular series The Inheritance Games. I have read the first 4 books in The Inheritance Games and it's a series I absolutely love and would highly, highly recommend. I didn't love the most recent spin-off, which was called The Brothers Hawthorne, as much, but I think I will just continue to read the series because I absolutely love the characters. I'm really hoping that Fairy Loot do a matching edition or a similar edition for The Grandest Game, because the Fairy Loot editions of the Inheritance Games are some of my favourites and they are absolutely beautiful. Get ready for a whirlwind of puzzles, games, danger, romance and riches. Billionaire Avery Grams and the enigmatic Hawthorne brothers host The Grandest Game, an annual competition with millions at stake and only 7 golden tickets available. Each participant has their own motivations and secrets, but tensions escalate as the challengers test them to their limits. Grayston Hawthorne finds himself at the heart of the game, but as the competition intensifies, it becomes apparent that not everyone is playing fair. Oh, I'm so excited. I don't think I explained that the Inheritance Games is a mystery thriller series with lots of twists and turns, so I imagine The Grandest Game will be very similar, so very, very excited for that to be released. Also on the 30th, we have The Fiancé Dilemma by Elena Armas. This is the second book in the Long Game series. I'm yet to read this, but I would like to at some point. Elena Armas also wrote the Spanish Love Deception, which again, I've not read yet, but I've heard so many things about. The synopsis for the first book within that series: Adeline Reyes's carefully constructed routine is shattered when a viral video lands her in hot water with the Miami Flames FC. Instead of firing her, her father, the team's owner, sends her to North Carolina to revive the struggling local soccer team, the Green Warriors, as a chance for redemption. However, Adeline's plans are thrown into disarray when she discovers that the team consists of 9-year-old kids who wear tutus to practice and keep pet goats. To complicate matters further, Cameron Caladani, a talented goalkeeper with a mysterious past, is also in town, determined to drive Adeline away. Despite their rocky start, Adeline is determined to turn the Green Warriors around and prove herself without Cam's help. I do think it sounds quite cute. It definitely gives sports romance vibes. I think it's really sweet that it has the kids soccer team element, so yes, I would like to give that a read at some point. Also on the 30th we have The Mirror of Beasts by Alexandra Bracken. This is the second book in the Silver and the Bone series, which is a King Arthur retelling. I own the Very Loot edition of the first book, so we'll try and get my hands on the second book despite the fact that I've not read it yet. I do really want to get to it because I do think it sounds quite intriguing. So the synopsis for the first book: Tamsin Lark, a mortal without magical abilities, becomes a hollower, breaking into ancient crypts to survive after her foster father disappears. Rumours surface that her guardian absconded with a powerful ring from Arthurian legend, sparking hope in Tamsin to free her cursed brother Cable. However, she faces competition from fellow hollowers, including her rival Emrys, who also seeks the ring. Despite their animosity, Tamsin and Emrys reluctantly join forces to outmaneuver their ruthless competitors. As they delve deeper into dark magic and dangerous secrets, they unearth a revelation that threatens Tamsin's last chance to save her brother. It does sound quite interesting, and I'm really intrigued to see how the Arthurian legend plays a part in it, so yeah, we'd like to get to that one soon. And then the last book that I have on the list for July is Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. So I've seen quite a lot of people get arcs for this and it's made me quite intrigued. This is a debut novel, which is quite interesting, and it's the start of a new fantasy series called Time of Iron. Rhea finds solace in books after her life falls apart. When faced with death, she seizes a chance at a new life. A magical bargain transports her into the world of her favourite fantasy series. Awakening in a castle on the brink of war, Rhea discovers she's not the heroine but the villainess in the story, opposite the alluring once and forever emperor. Determined to embrace her role, Rhea gathers the story's villains, plotting to change their fates. However, as tensions rise and the body count mounts, Rhea and her allies may not survive the Emperor's fury, questioning whether they'll see the story's final page. Oh, I think that does sound quite interesting from the villain's perspective as opposed to the hero. And also I think it's such a cool concept, the idea of being sucked into one of your favourite books. And then for August, on the 6th, we have The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. So Casey McQuiston is the author of Red, White, Royal Blue, One Stop, and I Kissed Shara Wheeler. The only book out of that I've read is Red, White and Royal Blue, which I absolutely loved. I also loved the film. There is a rumour that this book could feature in a subscription box, so I'm intrigued to see whether it does. And this is an adult contemporary romance featuring two bisexual characters, which I think is fantastic. Theo and Kit, once childhood best friends turned estranged exes, find themselves reunited on a European food and wine tour after a brutal breakup. Despite time apart and newfound confidence in their respective careers, they're faced with the reality of spending 3 weeks together as they both independently decide to use an unused voucher for the trip. Determined to prove they've moved on, they engage in a friendly wager to see who can seduce their hot Italian tour guide first, leading to a full-on European hookup competition. However, as they explore stunning views, luscious flavours and romantic cities together, old feelings resurface, challenging their resolve to move on. Sometimes a taste of everything only intensifies the craving for what they truly desire. Oh, I do think that sounds really good, and it's definitely giving me summer vibes. Also on the 6th, we have A Sorceress Comes to Court by T. Kingfisher. So T. Kingfisher is the same author that wrote Nettle and Bone, What Moves the Dead, and These Hollow Places. I own A House with the Good Bones, but I haven't read it yet, despite hearing really good things. This is a dark horror retelling of Goose Girl by Grimm. Cordelia's mother's peculiar behaviour sets them apart from others in their small town. With no doors between rooms and strict rules that keep Cordelia isolated, their only solace is found in rides with Falada, her mother's horse. Cordelia's mother's sorcery becomes apparent when they abruptly leave town after a suspicious death, seeking refuge at a remote country manor. There, Cordelia's mother intends to ensnare their wealthy squire into marriage, putting him and his sister Hester at risk. Recognising Cordelia's distress and the danger posed by her mother, Hester resolves to confront the wicked witch and save her brother and the terrified young girl from her clutches. Then also on the 6th, we have Death at Morning House by Maureen Johnson. So Maureen Johnson wrote the YA mystery thriller series, Truly Devious. I haven't read that series yet, but I've heard, again, nothing but good things and really want to get to it. This is a new YA mystery thriller with LGBT rep. Marlo Rexler's romantic date ends in disaster when a fire breaks out, leaving her reputation tarnished as an accidental arsonist. Desperate for a new job, she lands a position giving tours at Morning House, a mansion with a dark past. As Marlo delves into the mansion's history, she uncovers chilling secrets and realises the person that brought her there is missing. With each clue she uncovers, Marlo risks setting off a chain of catastrophic events that could unravel everything, all while someone lurks in the shadows, threatening to bury her before she can uncover the truth. Oh, it does sound really intriguing. Then also on the 6th, we have Amy by S.J. Jones. This is the second book in the Guardians at Dawn series. The first book was Zara. I haven't read Zara yet. I'm kind of in two minds as to whether I'm intrigued by it or not, despite the Illumicrate copy being very beautiful. So the synopsis for the first book, Zara: magic is forbidden in the Morning Realms, blamed for past devastation. Jin Zara, burdened with caring for her blind sister and concealing her own magical abilities, becomes entangled with rumours of monsters re-emerging. When she encounters Han and the secret organisation Guardians of Dawn, Zara learns of a plague corrupting magicians, turning them into monsters. To restore harmony and peace, Zara must embrace her own magical abilities and uncover the truth behind the chaos, threatening to engulf the world, lest the delicate balance between order and chaos be lost forever. It does sound kind of interesting, but yeah, I'm not too sure. Then on the 8th, we have a book that I am very, very excited about, and that is Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Meira. I think that's how I'm pronouncing her surname. Apologies if I'm incorrect. This is the second book in the Assistant to the Villain series. I read that last year and absolutely loved it, so I'm really, really excited to read the sequel. If you've not heard of the first book or not sure what it's about, this is the synopsis. Evie Sage's desperate need for employment leads her to accept a job offer from Renadorn's infamous villain. Despite the unsettling atmosphere of severed heads and squished eyeballs in the dungeon workplace, Evie finds herself developing a crush on her terrifying yet undeniably attractive boss. However, when she suspects sabotage threatening the villain's empire, Evie must navigate her feelings while unravelling the mystery to protect her job and the ailing family she supports. I can't recommend it enough. It's such a good book and I'm so excited to read the sequel. Then on the 13th, we have Born of Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So this is the 4th book in the Flesh and Fire series, which is a spin-off series from the Blood and Ash series. I have read books 1 and 2 within this particular series, and I say that they were okay. I think I've talked a little bit before how I've had really mixed success with Jennifer L. Armentrout's books before, and I'm not too sure whether I'll continue this series, but I just thought I'd put it on here so it's on my radar. So the synopsis for the first book, which is A Shadow in the Ember: Serafina Mirel is born destined to serve as the consort to the Primal of Death, a role she has been groomed for since birth. However, hidden from everyone, including herself, is her true mission: to make the Primal fall in love with her and then end his life, or risk her kingdom's demise. Despite her training as an assassin, Serafina finds herself unexpectedly drawn to the Primal, whose actions and words awaken emotions she has long suppressed. Caught between duty and desire, Serafina must navigate a treacherous path where her fate is sealed by the intertwined forces of life and death. Then on the 13th, we have Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. So this is the first book in a new paranormal romance series called Boneyard Key. Jen DeLuca also wrote the Well Met series, which I own but I haven't read yet. In a small Florida coastal town, Boneyard Key, Nick Foyer, owner of Hallowed Grounds Coffee Shop, embraces ghost tourism to sustain the local economy, alongside his spectral roommate. Meanwhile, Cassie Rutherford, seeking a change from her friends' settled lives, buys a historic cottage in the town. Despite some strange occurrences, Cassie is charmed by the town's history. As Nick and Cassie bond over ghost tours and investigating her haunted cottage's past, their connection deepens. However, Cassie worries about the implications of owning a haunted home, while Nick fears scaring her away by getting too close. Oh, I do think it sounds really cute, and I do like the occasional paranormal romance. It really reminds me of reading the Mediator series by Meg Cabot, which I absolutely loved growing up. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by this one and would really like to give it a read during spooky season. Another potentially spooky read is on the 13th, we've got Ghostsmith by Nikki Powell-Preto. So this is the second and final book in the House of the Dead duology. So I read the first book, which is Bonesmith, last year, and I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it, so I'm really excited to read the sequel. I do own the Fairy Loot edition of the first book, so again, I'm hoping to get a matching edition. So the synopsis for the first book: Ren, aspiring to become a Valkyr, a ghost-fighting warrior, faces a setback when sabotage causes her to fail her qualifying trial. Banished to the border's wall, she's determined to prove herself by rescuing a kidnapped prince from beyond the wall. Teaming up with Julian, an ironsmith from the House of Iron, Ren must navigate the dangers of the Breach, a wasteland where the undead roam. As they journey, Ren and Julian's alliance is tested by both the undead and their conflicts. However, they soon uncover a deeper conspiracy that threatens both the living and the dead, forcing them to unite against a common enemy. Like I said, I'm so excited to read the sequel, and I'm a little bit sad that it's only a duology. Also on the 13th, we have The Ending Fire by Sarah L. Arifi. This is the third and final book in the Ending Fire series. This is an adult fantasy series with LGBT representation. I haven't read this series yet, despite me owning the first two books in the Waterstone editions with beautiful sprayed pages. I have heard really good things, primarily from Becca in the Books, who always raves about it in her videos. I did read Feybound by Sarah Al Arifi, which I liked but didn't love, so I'm really hoping to love this series. So the synopsis of the first book: Scylla dreams of sparking a revolution to free the Empire from tyranny, but her hopes are shattered when her family is murdered. Anor, considered a disappointment by her powerful mother, crosses paths with Scylla, igniting a fiery connection between them. Hassa, adept at being invisible to the upper classes, holds dangerous secrets that could reignite the revolution. Together they join forces as the Empire undergoes trials to find new leaders, setting the stage for bloodshed, power shifts, and city-wide upheaval. It does sound so good, so yeah, really want to read that soon. Then on the 20th, we have Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is the third and final book in the Belladonna series. I've read both Belladonna and Foxglove and really enjoyed both of them. Again, I have the Fairy Loot edition, so probably will wait for the Fairy Loot edition of Wisteria, but I'm really excited to continue and finish the series. So the synopsis for the first book, Belladonna: Orphan Signa has been raised by various guardians, all of whom met untimely deaths, leaving her wealthy but vulnerable. She discovers her remaining relatives, the Hawthorns, living at Thorn Grove, a mansion filled with secrets. When the mother's spirit appears, claiming she has been poisoned, Sigma teams up with a surly stable boy to uncover the truth. Along the way, she forms an alliance with Death himself, who reveals a connection between them that may be more powerful and irresistible than she ever imagined. I cannot recommend this series enough. It is so good, and like I said, I'm really excited to read the next book. Then again on the 20th, we have Drown Me with Dreams by Gabby Burton. So this is the second and final book in the Sing Me to Sleep duology. So I read the first book last year and absolutely loved it, so I'm really excited to read the next book. Again, I have the Fairy Loot edition, so I'll probably wait and try and get a matching edition. So the synopsis for the first book: Saroise, I don't know how to pronounce her name, I really need to look it up, survives by weaving a web of lies. She hides her true identity as a siren while training as a soldier and working as an assassin. To her family, she pretends she has control over her siren powers. When a blackmailer threatens her sister, she takes a risky job as the Crown Prince's personal bodyguard to investigate it. Despite her initial hatred for Prince Hayes, she finds herself drawn to his kindness and charm. As they work together to stop a deadly killer, she must confront her own identity as the killer they seek. Like I said, I'm so excited to read the sequel. The first book was so good. I think it was a debut novel, which absolutely just blew me away. So yeah, really excited. Also on the 20th, we have Rise and Divine by Lana Harper. This is the fifth book in the Witches of Thistle Grove series. This is a queer fantasy romance series about witches. I haven't started this series yet, but really want to. So the synopsis of the first book, which is Payback's a Witch. Emmy Harlow returns to her magical hometown of Thistle Grove after years away, mainly to fulfill family obligations tied to an upcoming spellcasting tournament. Despite her reluctance and past tensions with Gareth Blackmore, she finds herself entangled in a revenge plot against him led by her best friend Lyndon and Talia, Gareth's ex-girlfriend. Emmy is drawn to Talia's charisma and competence, leading her to question her own feelings and loyalties. Oh, I just think it sounds really good, and I'm really excited to hopefully pick that up in spooky season. Then on the 27th, we have the next Amari and the Night Brothers book, which is Amari and the Despicable Wonders by B.B. Alston. This is the third book within that series, which is a middle grade fantasy series. I haven't got to these quite yet, but I'm very, very excited to. So the synopsis of the first book: 13-year-old Amari Peters is perplexed by the lack of attention surrounding her brother Quentin's disappearance. When she discovers a mysterious briefcase meant for her eyes only, it leads her to a summer tryout at the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, a secretive organisation. Amari must navigate a world where supernatural beings like mermaids and were dragons exist, competing against wealthy kids who have grown up knowing about the supernatural. With the threat of an evil magician looming and suspicion surrounding her, Amari faces challenges and dangers as she strives to uncover the truth about her brother's disappearance and her own place in the supernatural world. Again, I think it sounds absolutely fantastic, and I'm so excited to get to that series at some point. Then on the 29th is quite possibly one of my most anticipated books, and that is Goldfinch by Raven Kennedy. This is the 6th and final book within the Plated Prisoner series. I have read the first 4 books within this series and absolutely think it is fantastic. I decided to wait for Goldfinch to be released so that I could read Gold and Goldfinch together, and I am so excited for it. I may even vlog the experience potentially. Let me know if that is something that you'd like to see. I will say that I would recommend looking up the trigger warnings if you are thinking about reading the series, as it does tackle some really dark themes. But in case you're not aware, the synopsis of the first book, which is Guild: Oren finds herself living a life of luxury in the castle of Highbell, where everything is made of gold, including herself. King Midas rescued her from poverty and made her his prized possession, but when war threatens the kingdom, she realises that her trust may have been misplaced. As secrets unravel and her love is tested, she begins to see that her gilded existence is nothing more than a cage, and the true monsters may lie beyond its golden walls. I absolutely think the series is so good. I did find that the first book I didn't love as much, and I think the series has got better as it goes along, so I would recommend sticking with it. But as I said, I can't recommend it enough. Also on the 29th, we have the Bluebell Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. This is the second book in the Dream Harbour companion series, which is a series of cozy mystery books. The first book is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I picked up last autumn as I thought it looked really cute. I haven't read it yet, I've been saving it for autumn, but I really wanted to add the sequel to my radar because it also sounds really cozy. When Hazel discovers secret messages hidden in books at the Cinnamon Bun bookstore, doesn't that just sound amazing? She enlists the help of Noah, a charming fisherman and her longtime crush. Together they embark on a scavenger hunt across Dream Harbour, following clues and unravelling mysteries. As they work together, their undeniable chemistry sizzles, sparking a romance as sweet as the cinnamon buns from the bookstore. I think this is just one absolutely for the book lovers. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love cinnamon buns. I've been trying to find the perfect one, so this book just sounds absolutely perfect. And so that then brings us on to September. So on the 3rd of September, we have Celestial Monsters by Aidan Thomas. This is the second and final book in the Sunbearer duology, which is a queer fantasy series. I haven't read the first book yet, but I've heard such good things that I really want to get to it. So the synopsis for the first book: as each new decade begins, the sun's power must be replenished so that Sol can keep travelling along the sky and keep the evil obsidian gods at bay. 10 semidoises, I think that's how I'm pronouncing that, between the ages of 13 and 18 are selected by Sol himself as the most worthy to compete in the Sunbearer trials. The winner carries light and life to all the temples of Reino del Sol, but the loser has the greatest honour of all. They will be sacrificed to Sol, their body used to fuel the sunstones that will protect the people of Reino del Sol for the next 10 years. Tio, a 17-year-old, and the trans son of Quetzal, goddess of the birds, has never worried about the trials, or rather he's only worried for others. His best friend, Naya, daughter of Tierra, the god of earth, is one of the strongest heroes of their generation, and is much too likely to be chosen this year. He also can't help but worry, reluctantly and under protest, for Aurelio, a powerful gold semidios, and Tio's friend turned rival, who is a shoo-in for the trials. Tio wouldn't mind taking Aurelio down a notch or two, but a 1 in 10 chance of death is a bit too close for Tio's taste. But then, for the first time in over a century, Sol chooses a semido who isn't a gold. In fact, he chooses two: Zio, the 13-year-old child of Mala Suerto, god of bad luck, and Tio. Now they must compete in 5 mysterious trials against opponents who are both more powerful and better trained for fame, glory, and their own survival. I do think it sounds such a good series, and I am so intrigued by the different gods and the fact that it's a Mexican-inspired fantasy. I just think it sounds really interesting. Then also on the 3rd of September we have Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Rose Hill companion series. So the first book was Wild Love. Elsie Silver is also the author of the Chestnut Spring series, which is a series of cowboy romances. I've only read the first book within that series, which I enjoyed and I hope to continue, but I just wanted to put this book on my radar. A country singer seeking refuge from a tumultuous life finds unexpected solace in a rugged mountain town. There she encounters Weston Belmont, a charming single father who captures her heart alongside his 2 adorable children. Despite her initial plans to maintain control and distance, she finds herself drawn to Weston's magnetic personality and passionate nature, especially in the bedroom. As their relationship blossoms, she grapples with the challenges of her celebrity status and the potential for it to tear them apart. Despite the uncertainties, her heart tells her she's found where she belongs, but whether they can overcome the obstacle remains uncertain. Then on the 10th we have Vilest Things by Chloe Gong. This is the second book in the Flesh and False God series. So the first book was Immortal Longings, which I have read and really enjoyed. Chloe Gong also wrote the book series These Violent Delights, as well as the spin-off series Foul Lady Fortune. I haven't read those series yet, but I really want to, especially after reading Immortal Longings and really enjoying it. Again, I will probably wait and try and get a matching Fairyloot edition of the second book. This is an adult fantasy series which is inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. So the synopsis of the first book: in the kingdom of Tallinn, Princess Calla plans to take down the monarchy by winning the annual Deadly Games hosted in the capital cities of San-Er. 5 years ago she orchestrated a massacre that killed her parents, and now she seeks to finish the job. Meanwhile, Anton Makassa, an exiled aristocrat, enters the game to win riches and save his comatose childhood love. Calla forms an unexpected alliance with Anton and King Kaz's adopted son August, who aims to mend Tallinn's problems. However, their goals diverge, and as Calla and Anton's partnership deepens, she must choose between saving her lover or overthrowing the kingdom. Oh, I'm so excited to read the sequel. As I said, I love the first book, so really excited. Then on the 10th we have Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is a sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea. I've not read it yet, but I would really like to, as I've heard fantastic things. So the synopsis for the first book: Linus Baker, a 40-year-old solitary man, works as a caseworker at the department in charge of magical youth, overseeing the welfare of children in magical orphanages. He lives a quiet life with his cat and old records. Summoned by extremely upper management, Linus is tasked with a highly classified mission to evaluate an orphanage which is home to 6 dangerous magical children, including a gnome, sprite, wyvern, green blob, were, Pomeranian, and the Antichrist. On the island he meets the enigmatic caretaker Arthur, who fiercely protects the children. As Linus and Arthur grow closer, secrets emerge, forcing Linus to decide between destroying the orphanage or risking global catastrophe. I do think it sounds really cute. I'm very intrigued to find out what a were Pomeranian is. I think that sounds hilarious. But I've also heard that this book has a lot of emotion and a lot of soul, so I definitely think I might need to bring the tissues when I read that one. Then on the 10th we quite possibly have Silverborn by Jessica Townsend. This is the long-awaited 4th book in the Nevermore series, which is a middle grade fantasy series. The date keeps changing, but this is the date that's on Goodreads at the time of me filming this. I haven't started this series despite again hearing absolutely fantastic things. I know it's a series I really desperately need to get to. So the synopsis for the first book within that series: Morrigan Crow, born cursed on the unluckiest day, faces blame for all local misfortunes and is doomed to die at midnight on her 11th birthday. As she awaits her fate, Jupiter North rescues her from black smoke hounds and shadowy hunters, taking her to the magical city of Nevermore. There, Morrigan learns she has been chosen to compete for a place in the prestigious Wondrous Society. To stay in Nevermore and escape her curse, she must pass 4 challenging trials against other talented children, despite believing she has no extraordinary abilities. Failure means returning to face her deadly destiny. Oh, it does sound really cute, and I love the magical element. Then on the 17th, we have A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. So Alison Saft also wrote A Fragile Enchantment, which I read earlier in the year and I really enjoyed. That was a YA historical fantasy romance. However, A Dark and Drowning Tide is an adult gothic fantasy romance with LGBT representation. It is also rumoured that this is going to be part of a book box, so I actually cancelled my Waterstones pre-order, so I'm hoping it is a part of a book box. Lorelei, a sharp-witted folklorist, joins an expedition with 6 nobles to find a magical spring that promises immense powers, which the king wants to secure his reign. Lorelei hopes to use this opportunity to achieve her dream of becoming a naturalist and travel freely. The journey takes a dark turn when Lorelei's mentor is murdered on their ship, leaving 5 suspects with motives. The only person Lorelei trusts is her academic rival Sylvia. Now leading the expedition, Lorelei must find the spring before more murders occur and a potential coup begins. The group faces numerous dangers, including forests that change at night, rivers with hidden dragons and shape-shifting beasts. As Lorelei and Sylvia work together to solve the murder and uncover the professor's secrets, they struggle with their growing feelings for each other. Lorelei ultimately questions whether justice and the kingdom are worth saving. I do think it sounds really good. Then on the 17th we have Serpent Sea by Maya Ibrahim. This is the sequel to Spice Road, which you can probably see up here. That is the beautiful Fairy Loot edition, so again hoping I can get a matching edition for the sequel. So the synopsis for Spice Road: in an Arabian-inspired land, 17-year-old Imani, a skilled warrior with an affinity for iron, is raised in the hidden desert city to protect it from monsters like jinn and ghouls. Her brother's betrayal, including the theft of their nation's magical spice, tarnishes their family name and he disappears, presumed dead. Imani later discovers evidence that he may be alive and spreading their nation's magic beyond the desert, risking Qualia's exposure. Determined to find him, Imani strikes a deal with the council to bring him back. Joined by Quayan, I think that's how you say his name, a charming Ginny, and Taha, an arrogant Besayer, Imani embarks on a perilous mission. She faces many secrets beyond the Forbidden Wastes and within her own heart, all while racing to prevent her brother's actions from endangering Qualia. Yeah, I do think it sounds quite interesting, and yeah, definitely another one I really need to get to. Then on the 17th we have We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. So Richard Osman you might know from the TV show Pointless. He also wrote the book series The Thursday Murder Club, which I own all of them but I'm yet to get to. I do really want to read these, but I've been kind of saving them for maybe sort of autumn weather. So the synopsis for this one: Steve Wheeler, a retired investigator, enjoys a quiet life with his cat, engaging in routines like pub quizzes. His adventurous days are behind him, leaving the excitement to his daughter-in-law Amy, who works in private security. Amy thrives on adrenaline and is currently protecting best-selling author Rosie D'Antonio on a remote island. When a murder and a bag of money disrupt the peace, Amy calls for Steve's help. Together they embark on a thrilling, globe-trotting race to outsmart a killer. Oh, that does sound really good, so I'm definitely excited to get to some of Richard Osman's books. Then on the 24th of September we have Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. So M.L. Rio is also the author of If We Were Villains, which I haven't got to again, but really want to, as I've heard nothing but fantastic things. So this is an adult gothic horror novella and is only 144 pages. Every night, 5 individuals, the bartender, a rideshare driver, a hotel receptionist, the steward of a derelict church, and the college paper's editor-in-chief, converge in the college's ancient cemetery during their late shifts. One October evening, they discover a mysterious, freshly dug grave in the defunct churchyard. Curious about who dug it and for whom, they investigate further. When the gravedigger reappears, they follow him and uncover connections to recent strange events around town, realising they are more entangled in the mystery than they initially believed. Again, I think that sounds really good. Then on the 24th, we have Wrath of the Triple Goddess by Rick Riordan. This is the 7th book in the Percy Jackson series. I've read the original series, which is books 1 to 5. I'm yet to read the next 2 books, as I need to catch up on the spin-off series, which are set chronologically before them. So in case for some reason you don't know what Percy Jackson is, this is the synopsis for the first book. Percy Jackson struggles with focusing on school and controlling his temper, and his life worsens when he believes his pre-algebra teacher turned into a monster and attacked him. His mother then reveals the truth about his heritage and sends him to Camp Half-Blood, a safe haven for demigods. There, Percy discovers that his father is Poseidon, god of the sea. Alongside a satyr friend and a demigod daughter of Athena, Percy embarks on a quest across the United States to the gates of the underworld in Hollywood, aimed to prevent a catastrophic war among the gods. I absolutely love the Percy Jackson series, and I'm really excited to read more from Rick Riordan and to get to the later books within the series. Also on the 24th, we have Throne of Secrets by Kerry Maniscalco. This is the second book in the Princes of Sin companion series, which is a spin-off series from the Kingdom of the Wicked series. I read the first book within the series, Throne of the Fallen, recently and actually really loved it, so I'm really excited to read the next book. Gabriel Uxton, known as the Prince of Gluttony and a thrill seeker, faces a crisis when his favourite dangerous adventure turns deadly, indicating trouble in his demon court. Desperate to uncover the truth, he reluctantly seeks help from journalist Adriana Saint Lucian, who has been determined to expose his misdeeds for years. Adriana stumbles upon a terrifying rumour about restless ice dragons in the north, leading her to infiltrate Axton's court. As they confront escalating dangers together, their rivalry evolves, revealing a potential mutual attraction. United against a growing threat, they must uncover the truth and save their kingdom before it's too late. Then also on the 24th, we have The Striker by Anna Huang. This is a new sports romance from Anna Huang, who wrote the Twisted series. I've read the first book, Twisted Love, which I found okay, but I am very much intrigued to continue this series. I know Anna Huang is very, very popular, so I just wanted to put this book on my radar. Asher Donovan, a celebrated Premier League footballer, faces controversy due to his reckless behaviour and recent team transfer. His feud with the rival-turned-teammate leads to a forced bonding during off-season cross-training. Complications arise when Asher becomes attracted to their new trainer, Scarlett, who is also his rival's sister and off-limits. Scarlett, a former prima ballerina turned dance teacher, reluctantly agrees to train Asher despite her resolve never to date a footballer. As they spend the summer together, their close proximity stirs unexpected feelings, challenging Scarlett's determination not to fall in love with the charming striker who could break her heart. I do think that sounds really good, and I definitely feel I'm in my sports romance era. So there you have it. Those are all of the books that I'm excited for between July and September this year. I know it was quite the list and quite the video, so thank you if you made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Thanks for watching. Bye guys!